What is the worst thing you've seen at a strip club? I work as a doorman at a strip club and there was one dancer who was completely new to the industry and had never danced before who was about to go on stage. She was shy about it until she got up and started throwing her ass out and showing off the massive crystal butt plug she had in. We don't allow butt plugs where I work, so it was already an issue we would have to address, but the real problem came when she was bent over in front of one of the customers and accidentally shot it out of her ass right into the guy's face. Long story short, she was so embarrassed that I haven't seen her since. A guy eat a banana squeezed out of the stripper's cooch. For the curious, at the Nipa Hut in Angeles City, Rp. 30 pesos cover guaranteed 2 drinks and all you can eat. I was at a place in a poorer Rust Belt town. Girl comes up to us, pulls a baggie with a white powder out of it, throws it onto the table and says, "I have to sell this for my boyfriend tonight. You interested?" We said no and she grabbed said bag and continued on her mission. Guy jacking off in the bathroom, and no. He wasn't at a stall. Standing there, going full tilt in front of the mirror. I saw my first dead body at a club in East Dallas. Story was, a girl that worked there set a guy up to get robbed. He found out, hit her in the head with a beer bucket, and a fight ensued among several patrons. I assume most of them didn't know the reason she was hit and just fought the guy. One of those people was a regular. As the almost robbed guy left the club, the regular threw a beer bottle at his head. Almost robbed guy steps out of his car, walks up, pulls out a gun and dropped him at point-blank range right in front of the club's entrance/exit. He returned to his car and wasn't found by police for several months. Old dude on an oxygen tank, smoking. He turned toward the crowd and with the 2 teeth he had left, he spat out, "You can see er tits." Solid Monday night. Ankle monitoring bracelet on and heel sand, that's it. Saw a guy get his dick broken. At this one club they'd bring guys up on stage, strap them to a chair next to the pole, and the girls would take turns sliding down it really hard and fast and landing on his crotch. Basically a way of hazing a guy for his birthday, bachelor party, or similar occasion. Somehow the girls did it so that it probably looked worse than it was. Except one time. Not sure what went wrong, but when the third girl slid down, he yelled out in pain. 15 minutes later he left in an ambulance. One I went to in college had a little person as a bathroom attendant, and if you tipped him $20 he would kick himself in the head. Edit, yes, it was the lumberyard in Cedar Rapids. One of my best friends used to live in Tampa. He was a regular at one of the clubs and became friends with some of the dancers. One of the girls told him that another regular would come in and pay her to piss in a bottle so that he could sip on it while she gave him dances. She agreed to do so. Except she never pissed in any of the bottles. Instead, she would have one of the bouncers piss in the bottle and the guy would sit there sipping the bouncer's piss, thinking it was the dancers. I was supposed to be a cook at a strip club in Corpus Christi, Texas. We were famous for our barbecue, which was from a can. They never let me clean the container that the beef was kept in, just pour another can on top. I noped out after 3 days. Bouncer I knew, huge guy but the nicest dude. Went outside to stop an argument. Shot in the chest, died in the parking lot. *edit, didn't expect this to blow up like it did. Some history, this was in Dallas, TX, 25 plus years ago, when Dallas had the most strip clubs per capita in the US. The club in the Post had been one of the nicer ones, until ones from Vegas moved in. The Penthouse Club, Spearmint Rhino. Place got a lot rougher. Physical fights, which used to be a very rare thing, were happening almost nightly. Some of the dancers had boyfriends that would come in and hassle the guys tipping. One night, words were flying, then fists. The guys were shoved outside, more words, bouncers stayed outside to keep these guys apart. One goes to his car, the BF, I was told at the memorial service, got his gun from the car and unloaded *. Somewhere in Pennsylvania, a pregnant stripper pole dancing to a man playing Kryptonite by 3 Doors Down on acoustic guitar. Saw a girl climbing up the pole and she was strong. She could climb that thing fast. Until she hit the bolts holding to the ceiling with her head. She came down even faster and her head was bleeding bad. Ambulance was called and she took a ride. I went to the local ratty strip club with some buddies. I didn't really want to be there, but it was somewhere to party after the bars closed. I got to talking to a woman in her 40s in a nurse's outfit. She told me she was wearing it because her daughter is going to nursing school and she's working there to pay for it. She then tells me she's paying for it to get closer to her daughter since she just got out of prison for putting a hit out on her husband. The guy the hitman went after attacked the wrong person and got arrested. Snitched on her. I was too sober to be dealing with all that, haha. What is the scariest, strangest, most unexplainable thing that has happened to you while home alone? Was 17 years old, left alone from Thursday to Sunday with our family's dog, who was pretty small and starting to have trouble climbing stairs in his old age. I'd be working every morning while my parents were out of town. Came home from my shift on Friday and everything about the kitchen table was a mess. Napkins were taken out of the holder, all of the mail was thrown on the floor, salt and pepper shaker on the other side of the kitchen but together, and one of the chairs pulled far away from the table. Our dog's never done anything like this, and I'd be especially surprised if he was even capable of climbing on top of the table. I reset it all. Saturday, I come back to find the exact same configuration. Don't have the pictures anymore, but every detail was just as I found it the day before. Pretty much the entire night I'm convinced there's gonna be a ghost coming to get me, and I sleep horribly and barely rest for work on Sunday. I leave for work and make sure the place was orderly when I left, because I knew my parents would be back before I was out of work. When I go on my lunch break I call my mom and ask about all of the details from the past 2 days, and she just goes, "Yeah, why did you leave such a mess?" She didn't get pictures so I can't verify how similar the mess was, but regardless I can't believe my old dog would have done that, for the details 3 consecutive days, and I don't even know if he was strong enough to move the chairs or climb on the table. Only time anything like this ever happened while I was left alone. I dreamed the front door blew open at the exact time the house alarm went off. I hopped up and sure enough, the front door was open. No intruder. One night I had forgotten to lock my apartment door and woke up in the middle of the night. My bedroom door was about 2 feet from my front door, as you walked into the apartment. First a big dog ran by, then a person. Holy shit, I was so scared and I screeched, "Who is it?" A man said, "It's Doug." As I was thinking to myself, "Who the fuck is Doug?" he said, "Oh, shit." He turned around to go back out the front door saying sorry. I asked, "Didn't you have a dog with you?" He said, "Oh, yeah. Hey, come on." He left, his dog ran out after him and I locked my front door. Edit, glad you all thought this was funny, because I did too, once my heart quit trying to beat right out of my chest. The next day the girls at work thought I was crazy for not being upset, but done is done. Peace. My sister and I were home alone and we heard someone big running up the stairs. The stairs make lots of noise with slight pressure, so when there's someone big on them you can tell. I went out of my room to check but saw no one anywhere, and my sister also came out of her room and she asked if that was me. I said no, and we both looked around to see if there was anyone but found no one in the whole house. We were confused and called our parents and just waited until they got back, and that was that. Not really home alone, but when I was little I remember as my dad was taking us to bed, I ran up first to sneak behind my bedroom door. The plan was to jump out and scare my brother before bed, as my bedroom was just opposite the bathroom and he had to walk past it to get to his room. However, behind the bedroom door was 2 strange men hiding. One had a beard and long hair, the other I don't clearly remember, but think he was very skinny. The guy with long hair whispered to me to go away, so I calmly went away and slept with my dad. Mum was working nights and this wasn't uncommon for me, so he never questioned it. I was rightly spooked, and didn't want to be on my own, but didn't told my dad what I saw as I was petrified inside. Straight up thought I'd been told off by some creepy ghosts. We were robbed that night. My brother also woke up that night to go to the bathroom and saw the downstairs light on from the staircase. At the time he thought it was our mother, and would normally if he got up early run down and see her. For some reason he didn't go downstairs that night and instead hopped in bed with me and our dad too. When my mum came home the downstairs was trashed and she was terrified something happened to us. She ran upstairs in a panic and found us all in bed safe and sound. Home insurance was able to salvage most of the losses, and we got a dog not long after that as a deterrent for thieves, which growing up never had another issue again. So I guess not really unexplainable but strange/scary story. Deleted. I managed to lock myself out of my house on my birthday during a tornado while trying to bring my cats to the basement for safety. I later found out that the tornado was approximately a couple miles or less from me at that exact time. The sky was green and it got weirdly calm, and then I could hear what sounded like a train coming before I found an unlocked window to climb through. Wild times. I wasn't home alone, but I was awake by myself one Saturday morning in the 80s when I was around 7 or so. I believe my mom was the only one home because my dad went to the lake to go fishing that weekend, and I'm not sure where my older brothers were, maybe they went with him, Anyways, my mom's sleeping in, and I'm in the living room by myself, watching Saturday morning cartoons and making a fort out of sheets and cushions. Something made me turn around and I saw my dad in his pajamas standing in the hallway entrance with his hands on his hips, looking the mess I was making and shaking his head. He then turned around and walked into my room, which was just off the hallway entrance. Dude! I didn't even look, I just booked it to my parents' room and woke my mom up. I don't remember what happened after that, this was around 35 years ago. And yes, my dad was fine, nothing had happened to him. Back in high school I'd usually be up all hours of the night playing games. I had a large dog at the time that would sleep in my room at night. It was 2 a.m. and I was finally headed to bed but my dog wasn't with me so I ventured out to find him. I made my way across the house to the kitchen/dining room combo. I'm standing in the only door frame that leads to that side of the house. We had an island in the kitchen with a stool that the junk mail was usually kept on. So I walk up, call for my dog, and see him walk from behind the island to behind the dining room table set, knocking all the junk mail down as he did so. I huff and flip on the light, no dog. I freak out, scramble back across the house, and end up finding him in my parents' room. I regale the story the next day to my parents and younger sister, who often claimed to see stuff in the house. My sister pipes up and goes, "Oh, that's the tall black thing. Yeah, sometimes it likes to crawl around on all fours." Big nope. I got up in the middle of the night to pee and happened to glance out the window to my backyard to see a glowing yellow figure that looked like it was collecting soil samples from my backyard. I absolutely shat myself and bumped into the sink. The figure stopped what it was doing and looked at me. I bolted back to my room and woke my wife but when we went back it was gone. Funny thing is I've told this story to other people and the wife of a friend of mine burst into tears and said she had seen the same thing when she was a child but nobody believed her. People asking for more detail. It looked to be about 7 feet tall as when it stood up it was well taller than my fence. I couldn't make out any detail because it was glowing so strongly and adrenaline was pumping like crazy and I live in very populated suburban Sydney. It was also between 2 to 3 a.m. Also it was through a fly-acre an open window from upstairs bathroom. I can post a pic from my perspective if people are interested, and I can work out how to post it. I grew up in a very rural area. Our house was on the end of a dead-end road in the middle of Midwest farm country. In high school I was in cross-country and track and found it easiest to run in the late evenings on nights when there wasn't practice. One night, which was fairly well lit by the moon, I was running the last quarter mile to my house and I saw someone else running toward me on the road from the direction of my house. I live on a dead-end road. There is nothing but farm fields behind it and it definitely wasn't my mom running. It surprised me so much I stopped for a second to consider what I was seeing. I remember exactly what the runner was wearing and I watched her run another 5 or 6 strides towards me before she disappeared or blended into the night like the predator or some such. Now it could have been exhaustion or dehydration I guess, but I've run a lot farther and a lot longer than I did that night without seeing anyone materialize and evaporate. I never did again either on that road or anywhere else. It was the scariest thing that ever happened to me. Anime ran home crying panic tears and I am not ashamed to tell you about it. I couldn't bring myself to run at night again for a month. When I was younger I used to live in this super old, shitty house in the middle of the woods. There was a small clearing, with an average-sized yard and the rest was thick woods. One night I was walking up to our gate to go inside and I seen a very tall figure looking in my bedroom window. My light was on, which was weird since I hadn't been in there, or turned it on, so I could see the figure with its face and hands pressed up against my window. Whatever or whoever it was must have heard me because they looked in my direction before booking it to the back of the yard, and presumably into the woods since there was nowhere else to go and the backyard area wasn't fenced in. I never slept in that room again. I very clearly saw a guy walk into my room. But when I went after him there was nobody there. I checked in the closet, under my bed, everywhere one could hide in my room. Years ago, a few weeks after I moved into my now current apartment I'm still in, my one cat at the time woke me up in the middle of the night. Not sure why, but I then heard something, so I got up to investigate. Wandered my way down the hall into the kitchen to see that every single cupboard, 11 of them, top and bottom, were open. Like I'd open. Oh okay then, this is fine. I casually closed them and headed back to bed, probably hid under the covers till the morning lol. To this day, 11 years later I still have no idea what happened there, but I'm sure it was the building ghost saying hello and welcoming me to the place. There's been a couple others things that have happened here and still happen that I cannot explain. But I'm okay with it. I was in my college apartment and my roommate had just moved out. Her room was directly across from mine with the living room between us. I had cleaned out her room and then closed the door. I left my bedroom door open when I went to take a shower one night. My bathroom was connected to my bedroom. I also happened to leave the bathroom door open. While I was in the shower, I thought I heard a woman talking. I had never been able to hear my neighbors talking before, but figured they just happened to be talking in their bathroom which shared a wall or something. When I got out of the shower, I was surprised to see a black void when there should have been the bright white closed door of my old roommate's door reflecting in the moonlight. I figured I just forgot to close the door and went and closed it. The next night I once again went to take a shower and left my room and the bathroom door open. But this time I checked to make sure the other door was latched and the front door was double locked. When I came back out I once again saw the void with the door wide open. I slammed my door closed and locked that shit so fast. I convinced myself there was a logical explanation, so the next night I once again checked all of the doors and then closed my bedroom door. This time, I came out of the shower and my bedroom door was open along with the other door. I showered and slept with my bedroom door locked from that point on. I guess this took place over several nights home alone and I may not have even been alone. Still the creepiest thing that ever happened though. What's the most attractive thing a guy can do for a girl? My GF says just keeping her in mind when doing things, no matter how small. Feed her. You may fascinate a woman by giving her a piece of cheese. I think my wife married me because I cooked a nice breakfast for her. Clean the shower and wait until she discovers. My favorite thing is when he listens and remembers the little details. Something I recently did that she said left her speechless. Been hanging out and talking a lot for the last month or so. I stayed at her apartment the other night, and that night asked her if she'd officially be my GF and she said yes. Anyway, she had to leave for work at 5 AM after we stayed up very late the night before, and I had work at 4 PM the same day. It's hard to get a Uber that early and I would be dead halfway through my shift, so she said I can just stay as long as I wanted since her door automatically locks when it closes. I decided to sleep another couple hours and when I woke up I did all her dishes that had kind of piled up over the week and made up her bed and just tidied up her apartment before I left. Wanted to do something nice for her since she'd have a long day off, little sleep, and she can just go home and relax. Anyway, the messages she sent me when she got home were so cute and overloaded me with serotonin seeing how happy she was and her saying I didn't know you could be any more attractive, basically LOL. This turned into more of a humble brag than I intended, so I guess. TLDR, doing something nice no matter how little it may seem. One of my guy friends came over when I was sick once. He cooked me my favorite soup from scratch, cleaned my entire kitchen and then went home. He's my boyfriend now. Write love letters. Or just letters. My husband, of 10 years, just started doing this recently. I cannot begin to tell you how much it means to me. Anything you are passionate about. Nothing more attractive than someone truly doing what they love. Unless your hobby is pulling legs off flies and using them to make esoteric artwork or whatever, but hey. Make her a sandwich. Pack her a lunch and include a note hidden in it somewhere that says I love you. This will make a mountain out of a man and speak volumes. This happened to me just last week. Was getting into bed with the guy I've been seeing and he stopped and said, "Let me take off your earrings, I don't want them to hurt you." I've been thinking about it ever since. Hugs from the behind. Offer her an egg in these trying times. Keep trying to win her affection even after you already have it.